Hi class, uh, yo soy profesor de español, the Spanish teacher, and today I'm going to talk about what we call the simple present tense. Now the simple present tense is a very common tense which is very useful in our day-to-day life. So we have el presente de indicativo, el presente de indicativo. Now the simple present tense is a tense that talks about what we usually do as a habit. For example, I say I eat 3 times a day, or I go to school on foot or by bus. That's a habit that you've created, and therefore this one qualifies to be in the class of the simple present tense. Then when in this case I'm referring to Spanish, not English. Then in Spanish we use the same tense when talking about what we call the immediate future. So immediate future is a future that is not far from now. Like you can say, I will give you the money after the lesson. We will talk after the lesson. We shall talk, we shall discuss after the lesson. That is what we call the immediate future, which is applicable in Spanish. And then, on the same, we also talk about what we call the continuous form, the ongoing activities at the moment. For example, you can say, we are learning Spanish. We are learning Spanish. So in this case, it means that the action is currently taking place. In English, we have what we call the ing verb ending, that is the gerund, that talks about the present continuous. So in Spanish, you can avoid the present continuous and use the simple present tense, so what you are doing at this moment. Then you can also talk about actions that are ongoing. For example, you can say, I have been learning Spanish, ongoing, but you haven't stopped, right? It means that they began in the past and they are still in progress. Like, I have been learning Spanish since January. We have been doing this for the last 2 months. So it means that we are doing that action and we haven't stopped. Whereas in English, you'll be required to use what we call been, which is a past participle. That is very important to note. Then, when talking about the tenses, you need to understand some terminologies like verbo, which is a verb, and a verb is usually a doing work. And then we have two classes of verbs. We have regular and irregular. So a regular verb is a verb that follows a fixed pattern in its conjugation. What do I mean by this? Look at these examples. We have in English the past tense of walk, which is walked, talk, which is talked, and work, which is worked. So the three of them have a fixed ending, a uniform ending, which is ending, and therefore they qualify to become regular. The irregulars don't have a fixed pattern in their conjugation, and therefore you'll have to work extra hard to understand them. For example, we don't say goed for go, we don't say doed, by, but, went, did, and bought. Because they don't have a fixed pattern, they qualify to become irregular. I believe that we're together now. And then we have tayo, which is the stem. The stem is the main part of the verb where we add the endings. For example, if I remove the ed, I remain with walk, which becomes my stem. Then we have the infinitive. Infinitivo, or the infinitive, is the main part of the verb where we add, is the main part of the verb which has not been conjugated, like to do, to work, to talk. Those are infinitives. Now, when you want to deal with every tense or any tense, make sure that you understand the verb that you're going to use and its meaning. For example, in Spanish, our verbs are easy to understand because of what? They have a pattern. In this case, if they are ending. For example, we have verbs that end with AR, others that end with AR, and others that end with IR. So that is one way of identifying a Spanish verb. And then under AR, I'm going to list some examples and then I'll give you the meanings. For example, we have cantar, mirar, hablar, and escuchar. So cantar is to sing, mirar is to look at, hablar is to speak and or talk. Escuchar means to listen to. Then the above that end with er, we have beber, which is to drink, leer is to read, we have aprender, which is to learn, and then vender is to sell, to get money, sell. And then ir, we have escribir, which is to write. Subir is to go up or to climb. Then we have bibir. Bibir means to live or to stay. To live or to stay. So that is very important to understand. And you'll be learning more verbs as we continue. These are just a few examples. The next step is talking about what we call los verbos, and los verbos regulares are what we call regular verbs, which are very important also to understand. Let's begin with the verbs that end with AR and then ER and IR. So in case you do any conjugation and find that your ending is O, O and O for the three classes, know that the do of that action is I, and I is yo, yo. Then we have us, S and S. It is you who is doing the action, one person informal who is tu, tu. Then we have A and A. This case, who is doing the action, it is he or she or you in a polite form. So L means he and A is she. Usted is you, but for one person, formal. Tu was informal, tu informal, usted formal. So the first three are referring to the singular form, meaning that we're only referring to one person. Okay. Then we have amos, emos, and emos. In this case, we're talking about nosotros or nosotras. Nosotros is for the gents, and nosotras is for the ladies. All right. So in this case, this is us who are doing the action. Then is, es, and is. It is vosotros, vosotras, gents, ladies. Okay. So this is you plural when you are many. So when you are alone, we say it is tú. Now when you are many, it is vosotros. The last one is an, en, and en. In this case, we're talking about what? Ellos, ellas, and ustedes. So ellos is they for men, ellas is they for women, ustedes becomes you plural, which is the plural of ustedes, referring to you plural but for the polite form. So these ones are very important in that they show the person doing the action, that we've seen the person doing the action, or who the person who does the action, and then we're also showing the time of that action, which is the present time. So how do we use these ones then? Look at this. Let me show you an example that you can use. Let's use a verb that ends with AR. Hablar. So hablar means to speak or to talk. So the first step is you look at the last two letters. Like in this case, my last two letters are AR. So I remove the last two letters. I remain with what we call abel. Now abel becomes what you call the stem. So I'm going to use the stem to attach my endings. So once I am here, I'm going to start by doing this. I get the stem, because it is AR, I'm going to use the endings and the AR downwards. So I'm going to fix them at the end. Hablo, so you can guess the next one. Okay. Hablas. Then we have habla. Hablamos. Habláis. And then lastly we have what you call habla. So I'm adding these endings one by one. So now this is what we call conjugating a verb. And I had already told you that in case you conjugate a verb and find that the ending is O and O and O, you know that the person doing the action or who does the action is I. So in this case it is I. The meaning of hablar is to speak, so I do what? I speak or I talk. Hablas is from the second person, so it is you, which is tú. You speak. Habla is the third one, which we say is he or she speaks, which can also be you speak, but for the polite form. Hablamos is we speak. Habláis is you speak, but plural, remember, for more than one person. Hablan is they speak. So if I say hablo, I'm saying I speak. Hablas, you speak. But we have the pronouns that we had learned earlier, that is yo, tu, meaning I. So remember, you can just say hablo to mean I speak without the yo that means I. If that is clear now. You can as well decide to use the yo if you so wish, there's no problem. Someone can say yo hablo. Another one can just decide to say hablo, there's no problem. So if I say yo hablo, I'm saying I speak. Then because I've given you different uses of the simple present tense, this can also mean I will speak. I will speak. Then can also mean I have been speaking. I am speaking. Or I am talking. So these ones can apply. The same case to all these. If it's you speak, you will speak, you are speaking. All of them. So you continue using your pronouns if you want. You can say hablas or tú hablas. If you say él habla, you say he speaks. If you use ella, because ella is she, so you'll be saying she speaks. Ella habla. And then when you use usted, the meaning changes from he or she to you speak, which is polite. Remember, which is very polite. Then we have hablamos, which is we speak. You can use a pronoun which is nosotros. If you so wish, there is no problem. So you can tell me nosotros hablamos if we are men. Then if we are women, you say nosotras hablamos, we speak. Then vosotros habláis, you plural when you are many. And then for ladies, we say vosotras habláis, you speak. Lastly, we have ellos and ellas. So ellos and ellas would mean they. So for men is ellos, for ladies ellas. So if someone says ellos hablan, is they speak but for men, and ellas hablan, they speak but for women. Remember, you can also use hablan without, just like the others. You can just use the verbs without the pronouns, no problem. Now, if you use ustedes hablan, you will not be saying they speak, but you speak, but plural for many people, but formal. Don't forget that. So that is very important. That is very, very important. Now, let's use the second person. Let's use the second person to ask a question. Remember, when you say hablo, you are saying I speak. Now, what about do you speak? So in Spanish, the do you does not exist, and therefore I'm going to use what we call you speak. So I'm going to pick the second person, so you count them 1, 2. So this is the second person, singular, one person. Then I transform the same into a question. Hablas, do you speak? Do you speak? Then you can tell me sí. Sí means is. Sí, hablo. Yes, I speak. Yes, I speak. Now try asking me, do you speak Spanish? Good. ¿Hablas español? ¿Hablas español? Do you speak Spanish? Say sí, hablo español. O no, no hablo español. No, no hablo español. Yes, I speak Spanish. No, I don't speak Spanish. Very easy to understand. You can say, mi mamá habla 3 lenguas. Mi mamá habla 3 lenguas. My mother speaks 3 languages. Comes carne. Comes carne. From comer, which is to eat. And comer. Comer means to eat. So it is er. So I'm going to ask you, comes. Do you eat? Comes carne? Do you eat meat? Then you say, sí, como carne. Yes, I eat meat. So that's the way we do it. Someone can ask you, ¿dónde vives? So you conjugate vivir, you say vivo, vives, vives, but make sure that when conjugating, you consider what? The endings that we had listed under each category. So for AR, you don't use the endings for AR or IR. Make sure that you are specific. So if it's vivir, I'm going to say vivo, vives, viven, vivimos, vivís, and viven. Vivo means I live. So I'm going to say vivo en. I live in. ¿Dónde vives? Where do you stay? Where do you live? Donde vives? Then you can tell me vivo en. Then you say the place where you live. Alright? You can say, ¿qué aprendes? What are you learning? ¿Qué? We said that ¿qué is Q, U, and E. We had earlier said that ¿qué means what? Aprender is to learn. So, ¿qué aprendes? You can guess the meaning. What are you learning? ¿Qué aprendes? Say, aprendo español. Aprendo español. So basically, that's how we do it with the simple present tense. That's how we conjugate the verbs that are regular. So you can make more examples, write more questions and answer them, and make some statements. So muchas gracias por escucharme. Muchas gracias por escucharme. I will continue to give more lessons. Make sure that you follow. And then with time, you'll be able to speak fluently. So all the best. Ciao.